Welcome to the video lectures on analog electronics. Course code is EE303. Contact is 3. Credits is 3. Myself, Dr. Shoumik Poddar, Assistant Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology, Kolkata. Today, we will discuss the part 2 of module 1, that is filter and regulator. In the last module, we had discussed the various types of filters, their performance analysis, and some problems regarding these filters. Today, we will discuss the regulators, which is very essential to design a successful power supply. Now, a big question in front of us: are we satisfied with the present circuit arrangement? Means if we connect a filter circuit after just rectifier, are we really satisfied with this, or are we wishing something new? Are we wishing something new to regulate the load voltage? Because in the last module we had no option to control the output voltage if the line's voltage will be changed, or if we have changed the load resistance. So then how can we control the output voltage? So that was a big question. So obviously we have to think a new something new so that we can regulate the load voltage. So from that concept, we will move towards designing of a power supply. So it is the main journey to design or synthesis a power supply. That first we have to know what is power supply. Power supply is the fuel of all electronic circuits. The generalized block diagram of the power supply is depicted in this pictorial presentation. That is, first we have two blocks. One is AC to DC converter, which is nothing but a rectifier. Then we are introduced a filter. So the combination of rectifier and filter is nothing called the AC to DC converter. But this circuit will only produce the unregulated DC voltage. So although we are getting some sort of low ripple voltage, but we cannot regulate it. So for better sort of control or to stabilize the output voltage, irrespective of lines voltage or the load, we have to introduce a second block, which is called voltage regulator. This circuit is very, very important to design a successful power supply. The voltage regulator is then connected to the load resistance across which we will get a regulated DC voltage. Now the question is that how can we control the regulation? The regulation is performed by feedback mechanism. That means in the voltage regulator there should be some feedback circuit which control the stability of the DC voltage. Now if we look into the various types of DC power supply, so we will see that initially the power supply is of two types. One is regulated power supply, second one is the unregulated. The unregulated power supply is nothing but the rectifier and the filter combination, as already discussed. But the regulated power supply is of two types. One is linear mode power supply, and second one is the switched mode power supply. The linear mode power supply is further divided into two segments. One is discrete circuit regulator and second one is IC regulator. Whereas the switch mode power supply is divided into two subgroups. One is DC to DC power supply, another one is DC to AC power supply. So if you look into the subsection, you will see that this is completely inverted of this rectifier and the filter. So this DC to AC power supply is called the UPS or the inverter. But however, we will stick or will fix our discussion into this linear mode power supply, its subdivisions and the basic concepts of the switch mode power supply, which is abbreviated as SMPS. First, linear mode power supply. Now the question is that why this power supply is called linear mode. Linear means when the active devices or the control element are operated in the linear region of its output characteristics, it is called the linear mode power supply. So we will discuss more detail about these control elements and its functionality into the circuit. So first, again, I am reiterating that linear mode power supply means this is the one type of power supply where the control element or the active device will operate in the linear region of its characteristics. So if we look into the block diagram of the linear mode power supply, we will see that the unregulated input voltage. Unregulated input voltage means it is the voltage obtained from the filter circuit. So that was the unregulated one. So this unregulated voltage is going to a control element, which is the active devices. I will clarify about the control element in the later slides. But before going to the detailed discussion, first we have an outlook on this circuit. The control element produces the regulated output voltage by using this feedback path. If you look into this lower portion, it is a feedback path. The control element output is going to the sampler circuit, which is nothing but a feedback circuit also. The feedback circuit is producing some fraction of the output voltage. So this fraction of the output voltage is going to an error amplifier. The error amplifier may be a op-amp based circuit or it may be a simple transistorized circuit. The error amplifier, other input is to be set with a voltage reference circuit. Now we know that the voltage reference we will get from Zener diode, because Zener diode will behave as a voltage regulator due to its breakdown voltage. So therefore, to have the voltage reference, we must use a Zener diode, and the sampled output will all time checked by this Zener voltage, and the corresponding output will go to the control element so that we can regulate the DC output voltage. So this is the overview of the linear mode power supply. Now, if we go the fundamental idea about the regulation is represented as a change in the output voltage, that is del V naught, which is equals to delta V naught by del Vi into delta Vi plus del V naught by del IL into delta IL plus del V naught by del T into delta T. So that means the change in the output voltage is dependent on the change in the input voltage. It is also a function of the output current, that is a load current variation, and also there is a change in the temperature which will affect the output voltage change. Now, if we finely represented the change in the output voltage, it will be looks like capital S suffix V into delta Vi plus R naught into delta IL plus S suffix T into delta T. Now, S suffix V stands for the stability factor of the voltage, that is del V naught by del Vi. If we look into the expression, it is nothing but the ratio of the voltage, two voltages. It is the ratio of the two voltages. That's why it is called the stability. Why it is stability? Because this factor will be controlled by the denominator, that is change in the input voltage. So delta V naught by del V naught by del Vi is known as the stability factor. Second parameter, if we look carefully, that it is a ratio of the voltage and current. We know the voltage by current is nothing but a resistance, as this is not a static voltage, rather a change in the output voltage divided by change in the output current. So it will be obviously equals to the dynamic resistance. It will be obviously equals to the dynamic resistance, because dynamic means it will be changed after due to the change in the current. So therefore it is called output dynamic resistance. And third term is equals to the stability factor, which is a temperature coefficient, because it will depend on the variation of the temperature. So these three parameters, that is SV, R naught and ST, basically control the change in the output voltage. Now next we will go to the important parameters, which is very important features for a regulated power supply. First one is the line regulation. First one is the line regulation, which is equals to del V naught by del V in. That is, it is, if you look very carefully, that with the change in the input or the line voltage, there is a change in the output voltage. So how much output will be changed for a change in the input, for a unit change in the input voltage, is measured by line regulation. Again, I am reiterating, line regulation is defined as the change in the output voltage per unit change in the input voltage. Whereas the load regulation is defined as the ratio of difference between V no load minus V full load by V no load. That means V no load means when we are not connecting any load, just we are keeping the output terminal open. So when the output terminal open, the voltage, the output voltage will be maximum. But when we are connecting any load, so obviously it will draw some sort of current, and therefore the output voltage will be dropped from the no load voltage. So that difference will be a measuring parameter for the load regulation. So if the load regulation will be very fine for a particular regulated power supply, that means this power supply is the best power supply, which will produce a very steady DC voltage irrespective of the load. Because again, I am reiterating that if we change the load and every time the output voltage will be changed, this is not a desirable one, or it is not a very good design of the power supply. So the power supply should be a very good one, if we design in such a way so that the percentage load regulation will be very small. Next, we will entering into the detailed discussion of the linear voltage regulator. The linear voltage regulator, as already discussed, that the active device is operating in the linear region of its characteristics, and there is a feedback maker path which basically control the fluctuations of the output voltage for a change in input voltage or for a change in the load resistance. So compensation is provided. What is compensation? Compensation means if there is something loss, then we will minimize, we will somehow overcome the loss. So the change in the output voltage will somehow be controlled by some special circuit which is known as the compensating circuit. The compensating circuit is nothing but the feedback circuit. So if we look into the circuit diagram, we will see that it is the output from the rectifier and the filter, especially filter, because the filter we have already discussed. So after filter, the voltage is coming to the transistor which is in series. It is which is in series with the load resistance. Please see that the transistor is in series with the load resistance because its emitter is connected in with the load resistance. So what will happen? The current provided by this unregulated power supply will directly go to the load resistance if we are not providing any feedback path. So it will directly flow through the transistor and going to the load resistance. So after some drop across this transistor, the output voltage will be produced. So the output voltage is nothing but the VI minus the potential, the voltage drop across this series element of the transistor. That's why it is called a series voltage regulator also. So this is also called the series voltage regulator. Now, in order to regulate the voltage, we have designed some extra circuit I will discuss. If we look into from the output section, across the load resistance, there is a capacitor is in parallel. What is the function of the capacitor? The function of the capacitor is to minimize any transient from the regulators, because the regulator is constantly connecting with the main, and main has so many noises that we cannot predict. So if any something noise or fluctuations will occur, then this capacitor will minimize it. After capacitor, we will see that there is a potentiometer which is varied from the value of R2 to R3. Now the potentiometer is connected to an op-amp where the other input of the op-amp is connected to a Zener diode. As already discussed in the previous slide, that the voltage reference, please see carefully, the voltage reference is nothing but the Zener diode connected to the other input of the op-amp, and the Zener diode is connected to a resistance which basically controls the Zener breakdown voltage. Now, what will happen? What will happen? We will discuss in the next slides. First, beta V naught. What is beta V naught? Beta is the feedback factor. Beta is a feedback factor. Beta V naught is equal to R3 by R2 plus R3 into V naught. If you see into the circuit, you will see that this voltage, this output voltage will be appeared across this potentiometer, and due to this potentiometer, obviously some fraction of the output voltage will be going to the op-amp, because the input is connected to the potentiometer. So if we change the if we change the setting points, obviously the fraction of the output will also be changed. That's why this R2, R3 will provide the feedback voltage. And due to this R2, R3, there is a parameter developed beta. So beta V0 is equals to R3 divided by R2 plus R3 into V0. Now, V0 prime, what is V0 prime? V0 prime is equals to the difference between the V reference and the feedback voltage, that is beta V0. So V0 prime is equals to A into Vz minus beta V0. A is the amplifier gain. A is the amplifier gain. Now, first of all, if the, again I am going to the slide, if the Vz is equals to beta V0, that means if the Zener voltage is equal to the feedback voltage, then there is no change, then the op-amp output will be 0. When the op-amp output will be 0, then it will not drive any base current to the transistor. So when there is no base current to the transistor, then there is no change in the collector current. So basically the output voltage becomes fixed. There is no case of the fluctuations of the output. So the op-amp only used to reduce, to stabilize the fluctuations of the output. So if the op-amp output will be 0, then there is no functionability of this op-amp. So in that case, whatever the output voltage is this set value. What is the output voltage? It is a set voltage. It will not be changed. But if Vz greater than beta V0, somehow due to the line voltage or the load resistance, somehow the V0 will be changed. If the V0 will be reduced from its previous set value, then obviously this beta V0 will be changed due to this ratio, and which will affect the op-amp output. Beta Vz will be greater than beta V0, then op-amp will produce some sort of output which basically controls the transistor current. We will discuss more clearly. Now V0 prime, if we see, V0 prime is equals to the VBE plus V0, means V0 prime, please look here, V0 prime is going to the base of the transistor, and VBE is the base to emitter voltage. So V0 prime plus VBE is equals to V0. Now we know that when the transistor is operated in the linear region, then the VBE is nothing but the 0.7 volt for silicon transistor. So when VB is 0.7 volt, if we add this V0 prime plus 0.7, it will somehow near equal to V0 prime will be equals to V0. So that means what is the significance of this expression? The significance of this expression is that whatever the output voltage of the op-amp, it will directly reflected to the output voltage across the load. So that means the output voltage or the load voltage will be just replica of the op-amp output. So the op-amp is very crucial. Its output basically controls the load voltage. Now first we will discuss the line regulation. Line regulation, VI minus VCE, as already discussed, equals to V0, where VCE is the regulatory parameter. If VI is increased, provided the load resistance constant, So that is called the line regulation. That is the load resistance remains constant, but VI is increased. If VI is increased, the IR1 means this current will be equal to VI minus VZ by R1. VI minus VZ by R1 is the IR1. Next, so if VI is increased, IR1 will also increase because VZ is constant voltage, R1 is constant. So if VI is increased, the IR1 will also increase. So that means if VI is increased, maximum current will be passed through the Zener diode and the minimum current will passing through the series element. So what will happen? Obviously IC1 stands for the collector current of the series transistor. IC1 will decrease and eventually IB1 will decrease. So V0 prime will decrease. So V0 prime will be decreased. So what will affect? If VI increase, automatically the load voltage will be decreased. But when the load voltage will be decreased, so what will again I'm telling that we are not introducing the functionality of the feedback, but we will see that when the VI is increased, automatically the V0 will be reduced. And when V0 will be reduced from the set value, it is not desirable. So what will happen? Once the V0 will be reduced, it will produce the less value of the feedback voltage and it will lesser than the VZ. So automatically the V0 prime will be enhanced due to the relation. And once V0 prime will be enhanced, it will drive more base current to the series element. Therefore, it will provide the more emitter current so that it will produce a large, much voltage across the load resistance. So thus, the V0 will again restore to its set value. Similar regulation will be happened when input voltage is decreased. Now, load regulation means load regulation stands for load resistance is changed, but input voltage will be fixed. So VI is fixed, but RL is reduced. First case, I have considered the load resistance is reduced. So once load resistance will be reduced, we know that the load current will automatically increase. So when load resistance will be reduced, the V0 will be reduced. Always remember, when the load resistance will be reduced, means load is reduced. That means a much more current will be appearing and the load means the circuit will draw more current. So that means the output voltage will be dropped. So V0 is reduced. Once V0 will be reduced, the beta V0 will be decreased and the error amplifier output V0 prime will be enhanced. So once the error amplifier output will be enhanced, the IB1 as well as IE1 will be enhanced. So again V0 will be increased and restored to its desirable value. Similar fashion will be observed when the load voltage was suddenly increased due to the increment of the load resistance. So same thing, just opposite direction, opposite phenomena will occur. Now we will go to the shunt voltage regulator. If we will see that the active element or the control element will be the parallel with the load resistance, and that means whatever its output voltage will directly reflect to the base emitter voltage. So here again the R1 R2 provides the potential divider network which will produce the output feedback voltage, and depending on the feedback voltage the transistor will draw the different current, and therefore the rest amount of current will going to the load resistance. So first we will see VBE. VBE means this voltage. VBE is equals to this voltage. So this voltage is nothing but the V0 into R2 by R1 plus R2. So this is a feedback voltage. So VBE is equals to the beta V0. And VCE means the voltage across the collector to emitter. So VCE means, if you see that the collector terminal is connected to that point, emitter is grounded, and it is directly parallel to the load resistance. So VCE can be said to equal to the V0, and also the VCE is equals to VI minus IS into RS. Now line regulation. VI is increased but RL is fixed. As from this expression we will see that VCE is always less than VI. Now if VI is increased suddenly, obviously the the difference from VI and VC will be much more prominent. So that means due to the major difference between VI and VC, the ISRS product will also be increased. That I am, so VCE is less than VI, so IS will be increased. Once IS will be increased, it will produces the larger drop across the RS. And VCE will be dropped more than its previous value. Initially, VC is less than VI. It is the general criteria. But when I have increased the VI, suddenly the difference will be somehow very notable. That means this product is sufficiently high. So when this product is sufficiently high, automatically the VC will be sufficiently low than its previous value. So when VC will be sufficiently low, then automatically the output voltage will be dropped very much. So that is not our desirable criteria. So how can we control? Once the output will be dropped from its set value, the beta V0 will automatically reduce. So that will affect the base emitter voltage. We know when the transistor base emitter voltage will be reduced, it will reduce the base current. So collector current will be reduced, which will further increase the collector to emitter voltage, and it will thus the V0 will be restored to its previous value. Now load regulation. Load regulation means VI is fixed but RL is increased. When RL is increased, what will happen? When RL is increased, this load current will be reduced. So this IT will be increased much more. When IT will be increased, that means the IL will also decrease. Automatically the VC will be enhanced, because automatically the VC will be enhanced. So it is a voltage shunt IV converter. What will happen? Again, I am just telling that when the load resistance is increased, the load current will be dropped. So, and in that case the VI is constant. So the current transistor will draw much current. When the transistor will draw much current, the VC will be dropped. So which will affect the load voltage. So when the load voltage will be reduced, again it will further reduce the base emitter voltage. Thus the base current will be reduced, and automatically the collector current will also be reduced, which will further improve the VCE. So again the V0 will be increased. It is a very fantastic one. So it is a automatic, it's just an automation. So thus we can control the output voltage irrespective of the load. But the main disadvantage of the circuit from the previous circuit, that always we have to connect this fixed resistance, and due to this fixed resistance there is a major power dissipation across the resistor, which will somehow drop the efficiency of this circuit. So therefore this shunt voltage regulator is not preferable over the series voltage regulator. So in our practical design we will always aim for the series voltage regulator. Now we will go to the IC regulator. IC regulator is not the it is a compact design. Here we have not designed the individual components. So it is a very quicker and easier design. It is a versatile, relatively inexpensive and adjustable output. It is of two types. One is fixed voltage regulator 78XX and 79XX series, and also adjustable voltage regulator. in our syllabus we will focus on to the 78XX and 79XX series. Now what are the features? 78 and 79XX, they are the fixed voltage regulator, means they will always produce some fixed voltage across the load. Now 78 stands for the positive voltage regulator, 79 stands for negative voltage regulator, and XX stands for the output voltage coming across the load. That means if we wish to design a plus 5 volt regulator, we must use 7805. If we want to design a minus 6 volt regulator, we must use the 7906. So that's all. These regulators are available in market by the two types of packages. One is the metal package, which is TO3 type. Another one is the plastic package, TO220 type. These regulators are have 3 pins: ground, input and output. We will discuss how the pins are arranged. Traditionally, the 5, 6, 8, 12, 15, 18 and 24 volt are available in market, and minus 2, minus 5, minus 6, minus 8, minus 12, minus 15, minus 18 and minus 24 are available from 79XX series. So please remember that you cannot design a haphazard fixed voltage regulator. You must have to design keeping in view the commercial available voltage regulator. Now this is the IC. This is the actual how it looks like. So it is a 7405 IC. It is a 7905 IC. You will see that there are 3 pins. This black color is nothing but plastic body. So it is a TO220 type configuration. Now, if we see the 7805, 78XX IC, we will see that there is a notch, and the notch proximity the connection in pin is the pin number 1. The middle portion is the 2 and 3. So always remember, where there is a notch, the nearby terminal is called the pin number 1. And for 78 series, the pin number 1 is input, the middle pin is the common, and the last pin is the output. Whereas this metal body is nothing but the common. So this metal body is internally connected to the pin number 2. Secondly, if we look into the 79 series, we will see that the pin number 1 is common, pin number 2 is input, pin number 3 output. So the students, you must be very aware when you are designing any positive or the negative voltage. So the pin configuration are just different from the 78 to the 79 series. Now, this is the external circuit arrangement. Both IC regulator are connected to the 2 capacitors at input and the output. The capacitance are very small in value because they have fine regulation inside the IC, and the input capacitor will remove the ripples due to the inductive wire leads, where the CO, that is the output capacitance, will remove the transient. Now we will go to some specification for the designing, that this regulator will provide the output voltage which will be less than V in by the 2 volt. So if your desired voltage will be the 5 volt, you must use 7808, because it will be increased, it will be larger than the output voltage by the 2 volt. Now heats during the design, the IC regulator must be adhered to the heat sink in order to control the maximum load current, and the IC has a temperature sensor to control the temperature. If the temperature limit will be crossed, that is because its temperature limit is minus 55 to plus 125 degrees centigrade or plus 150 degrees centigrade. So if the temperature will be enhanced due to the ambience, automatically the temperature sensor will thermally shut down this total IC. So it is a very fantastic IC. Most of the commercial regulators utilize this type of IC. This is a list of the IC voltage regulator. You will see that when you are you are desiring any output voltage, the minimum input will be somehow the greater than 2 volt. So this is the design of the 12-volt regulator. You will see that this is the heat sink where the IC regulator are connected. These are the capacitors, electrolyte capacitors. They are a larger one because this side is the rectifier and the filter circuit. It will obviously uses the low frequency. That's why their size are very high. Now you are going to the switch mode power supply. Switch mode power supply, SMPS, basically utilizes the circuit which are operating at a very high frequency compared to the previous one. So SMPS operates from means without any input transformer. You will see that after the signal there is no transformer. Directly we are connecting a rectifier and filter. So this rectifier and filter obviously convert the large AC input to the high voltage DC, and this DC signal is of 50 or 60 hertz. Now this low frequency but high voltage DC is going to a switch. This switch is not a mechanical switch, rather it is an electronic switch. So it is a very interesting or important thing of the SMPS. The switch is the electronic devices, that is a transistor, especially power MOSFET or the SCR or IGBT are used. They are operating in the switching mode of the characteristics. Please be careful about this transistor. In the earlier one, we have seen that the transistor will operate in the linear mode, but in this case, the transistor will operate in the saturation mode, that switching mode, either saturation or the cutoff. So it will behave as a switch. So once it will behave as a switch, the low frequency high voltage DC will be converted to high frequency DC voltage 15 to 50 kilohertz, which is going to a smaller transformer which will scale down the high voltage to the low voltage AC. Okay. Now, because this switch will produce some pulse, so this pulse will be behaved as an AC signal. So this AC will be converted to low voltage AC due to this transformer. This transformer design is completely different to our previous one, conventional transformer, because it is a tiny low mass transformer and it is of ferrite core. Now the low voltage AC will further rectified and filtered to form the DC voltage by a rectifier and filter circuit. Now there are differences in between these two rectifiers. The first rectifier is operating at low frequency, the later one is operating at the higher frequency. In the low frequency, the size of the diode rectifier filters, that is the capacitor, inductors, are very large size and bulky. Whereas in the later one, the capacitor and the inductor size will be very smaller. So it will be very portable to handle. The output DC voltage, remember the output DC will not be a flat DC, rather it will be a pulse type DC, because due to this switching circuit, that's why it is called the switch mode power supply. This pulse DC will go to output sensor and isolation to go at another input of the error amplifier, where error amplifier another input will be fixed by a sawtooth generator. Now, depending on the difference between the reference voltage, it will going to the pulse width modulator circuit. So when the error amplifier output will be small, then the pulse width modulator will produce a larger pulse. When the error amplifier will produce lower voltage, the pulse width modulator will produce smaller, narrower pulse. So they are basically control the switching speed of this MOSFET. So this is the fundamental idea of this switch mode power supply. You will see that when the reference voltage is higher than the DC, automatically the pulse will be generated. When the reference voltage will be lower than the DC, it will be flat. So thus we will control the switching speed and we will control the DC output. This is a comparison between the linear mode power supply and the switch mode power supply. In the switch mode, unregulated DC input is removed by the duty cycle of the pulse width modulator circuit and the power loss is very less. In the linear mode, the low frequency transformer is needed to isolate the output. Heavier okay, next one, high frequency transformer is needed in the switch mode, but in linear mode, heavier transformer is needed. Filtering elements are smaller in switch mode, where the filtering elements are larger in the linear mode. The output regulation is poorer in the linear mode because the DC voltage is in pulse form. So, but in linear mode, the output DC voltage will be much more regulated. And in switch mode, the control circuit is complex, but the control circuit is simpler. So in commercial power supply design, we are choosing the linear mode, especially the IC voltage regulator. So thank you for listening the lecture.